What is going on, everyone? My name is Benjamin Nowak with MONSTERBASS. In today's video, we're going to talk about one of my all-time favorite ways to catch big bass in the early spring and late fall when those fish are getting in that early and late season grass, and that is throwing a lipless crankbait. This bait here has caught me so many big fish in the early and late season that it's just kind of dumb not to talk about it. But what we're going to focus on in this video are the colors that I'm throwing, the baits that I'm using, and the gear that I'm using to throw these baits. But if you guys want to see some videos about basic retrieves with this lure, I posted a video on the MONSTERBASS channel that I have linked up here in the corner for you guys to go check out. But without further ado, let's start talking about the colors that I like to throw. And this is one of my favorite colors. This is the Candy Craw from Bill Lewis Rattle Trap. And the reason I like this color is because it stands out really well in dirty water. This is my go-to spring lipless crankbait. The reason for that is up here in the north, you get a lot of rain runoff, that snow melt runs into the rivers, runs into your lakes, and that water gets a little bit dingy. This red stands out really well, and it just triggers those big fish to bite, especially those big river smallmouth. Another reason that I like this bait is the flat face on it. Early season, I'm going to be fishing this bait a little bit more slowly than I would when those fish are getting more aggressive in that mid 50-degree water temps. So I'm going to be dragging this bait. Well, that flat face is going to help us come through that early season grass, but it's also going to help deflect this bait around cover a little bit more effectively. That flat face is going to act almost like a square bill, deflect that cover away from those hooks, and keep you from getting snagged near as much. So I really like the Bill Lewis Rattle Trap in the Candy Craw color early season. Red's really popular though, not just up north in the spring, all across the country. One of the most popular lipless crankbait colors ever made was Rayburn Red, and the reason for that is down on Sam Rayburn, those fish eat bright red crawfish, so when you're fishing a red crankbait around grass, it just really gets bit. You see that a lot in those early season tournaments down in Texas, down on the west coast where those guys are fishing the Delta. Red is a really good color all across the country, so don't be afraid to throw this bait, especially if you're fishing around a little bit stained water. Now, as you get around cleaner water situations, I like to fish a chrome lipless crankbait, and the reason for that, it reflects light really well. It looks like a bunch of different types of minnows coming through the water, and this chrome blue back is the most popular selling color of all lipless crankbaits. The reason for that, you can use it to imitate a bunch of different types of forage. Now, it can be used to imitate shad, minnows, and it just looks really natural coming through the water, especially in high sun situations. I'm going to be fishing chrome baits when the sun is high and the water's a little bit cleaner because it's going to have more flash, it's going to draw fish from a long ways away. And this in particular bait, as opposed to your Bill Lewis Rattle Trap, has a more rounded body profile. Now what that's going to allow this bait to do is have more of a shimmy on the fall. So when you rip this bait out of the grass and when you yo-yo and drop it, it's going to come up, shimmy, and then when it falls, it's also going to shimmy on the way down. That's going to be a good way to trigger bites. So early season, when you're fishing that bait slowly, a really good retrieve is a lift and drop, a yo-yo retrieve, where that bait comes up and then it shimmies on the fall. Comes up, shimmies on the fall. So you can fish it above grass that way, or you can fish it just off the bottom with that same style retrieve. But that's when I'm really going to like that Strike King Red Eye Shad is on that yo-yo style retrieve. It's a really good retrieve. As we get to cleaner water situations in low light, I'm going to fish more of your matte or flatter white style baits like this here. Looks just like a bait fish, but those flat sides are going to help it stand out against the water, kind of that silhouette effect in cleaner water situations when you don't need the flash because you're not going to get it. There's no sun to reflect off the bait. So these flatter white colors are going to help that bait stand out, especially when you're fishing in clean water situations. I like to go with more flat white colors or translucent colors. This is an LV 500. This is one of the most popular dragging style lipless crankbaits on the market. Again, it has that flat nose, but it's translucent. So when I'm fishing that cleaner water, it can look like a bunch of different types of minnows down there on the bottom, but it's going to drag it really well because of that flat face. This is actually a 3/4 ounce bait. So the LV 500, it features your standard style size body with heavier weights in it. That's going to allow you to fish it deeper, slower, more effectively than you can some of these half-ounce style baits with the same body size. Caleb Bell, my good buddy from Bass Quest, he's the one that taught me about this technique. He smashed some giants on it in the spring, made me a believer, so I had to pick myself up some. This LV500 is a great dragging style lipless crankbait where you cast it out, let it sink to the bottom, just make really slow hops. You drag this bait along the bottom like you would a jig, but every time that bait moves, it has a loud rattle to draw fish from a long ways away. LV500 is a great dragging bait. One of my go-tos when I'm fishing clean water in the spring, when those fish are more lethargic, but still going to come up and eat this thing. LV500, great bait to have in your arsenal. Now we're going to talk about some little bit more unique style colors and different sounds, and that would be your bluegill style colors or your chartreuses. These are going to work when those fish are keying in on bluegill early season, kind of around that bluegill spawn, around that grass. A little bit later, around 60-degree water temps, I'm going to switch to these style of colors. And this actually is a brand new color from Bill Lewis Rattle Trap. It's called Sunnygill, and when they're keying in on that bluegill really good, but you have some dirtier water, this is going to be a really good color. That chartreuse on the belly is going to draw those fish to this. It's going to trigger a lot of really big bites. I'm excited to throw this color this season when that bluegill spawn's going on, because they're going to absolutely smash it. And finally, another color from Strike King. This is a Strike King Red Eye Shad in, I believe it's pumpkin olive craw, and this is a bait that Caleb turned me on to. Crushes big fish. But one thing you're going to notice, it's the 2-tap model. It's a 1-knocker model. So the sound in your standard lipless crankbait with a bunch of BBs versus the 1-knocker style is totally different. Now, there's a lot of 1-knocker baits on the market. You have the Bluegill 1-knocker, as well as a bunch of others. The Strike King 2-tap. That 1-knocker sound is something I like in that cooler water. Early spring, I like the 1-knocker because it draws fish from a longer distance. Think of it this way. Really high-pitched noises don't travel as far. Low-pitched sounds are going to travel a lot further. It's going to cause a lot more, I guess, sound vibration in the water, which is going to carry longer distances, trigger fish to bite from longer ways away, especially in that grass. Now, I don't know the entire science behind it, but it will trigger fish in the grass to bite, especially when everyone else is out there throwing your standard BB style rattles. So play around with different sounds, different sizes, different baits. You have small lipless crankbaits that weigh 3/8 of an ounce. You have big 1/2 ounce baits, small 3/4 ounce. Play with different sizes, play with different colors, but that should give you a good starting point. Darker colors and darker water, lighter colors and lighter, more cleaner water situations. Now the gear that I throw, I keep really simple. I'm throwing a crankbait setup. This is an ARC 7'4" cranking rod. It's a medium heavy, but it is a parabolic slow bend. So what that means, it's going to bend long ways down the rod. It's going to help these fish stay pinned on these small treble hooks and allow me to get more of those fish to the boat. I'm fishing a 6-3-1 Lew's BB1 speed spool reel with 15-pound test fluorocarbon. I like to fish fluorocarbon. I'm not fishing super heavy grass, but if you are fishing down south on Gunnersville, Seminole, Toledo Bend, Rayburn, these places that have a lot of really thick grass, you might go up to braid. I know a lot of guys, Shea Baker fishes 40-pound test braid because it allows him to rip that bait a lot cleaner from the grass. But my preference is fluorocarbon up here in the north. So I hope this helped you guys understand lipless cranking a little bit more effectively. Again, if you guys want to learn some retrieves, I'll have that linked up here in the corner for you guys. If you have any questions or comments, let us know in the comment section below. And as always, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you guys next time.